ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। नमः पंकजनाभाय नमः पंकजमालिने नमः पंकजनेत्राय नमस्ते पंकजांग्रये। नमः पंकजनाभाय नमः पंकजमालिने नमः पंकजनेत्राय नमस्ते पंकजांग्रये। नमस्ये पुरुषं त्वाद्यम् ईश्वर प्रकृते परम् अलक्ष्यं सर्वभूतानाम् अंतर्बाह्ये अवस्थितम्। नमस्ये पुरुषं आद्यम् ईश्वरं प्रकृते परम् अलक्ष्यं सर्वभूतानाम् अंतर्बाह्ये अवस्थितम्। Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Jai Radha Ramana, Hari Bol. 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 Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Gaurari. Jaya Satchitananda Gaurari. Oh Jaya Satchitananda Gaurari. भवमहादावाग्निर्वापणम् श्रेयकैरवचन्द्रिकावितरणम् विद्यावधू जीवनम् आनन्दाम्बुधिवर्धनम् प्रतिपदपूर्णमृतस्वादनम् सर्वात्मनस्नपन्नम् परम विजयते श्रीकृष्ण संकीर्तनम् हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। कलो दोष निधे राजन एको अस्ति महान गुना कीर्तनादि कृष्णस्य मुक्त संग परम व्रजे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौरा हरि बोल। जयो राधा मदन मोहन राधा मदन मोहन राधे राधे। जयो राधा गोविंद राधा गोविंद राधे राधे। जयो राधा गोपीनाथ राधा गोपीनाथ राधे राधे। जयो राधे जयो राधे जयो राधे जयो जयो श्री राधे। जय प्रभु पादा जय प्रभु पादा जय प्रभु पादा श्रीला प्रभु पादा प्रभु पाद प्रभु पाद जय जय प्रभु पाद जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव जय जय गुरुदेव जय जय गुरुदेव। गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। वंदेहं श्री गुरो श्रीयुता पदकमलम् श्रीगुरो वैष्णवांश्च Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathamritam Tam Sajivam Sadadvaitam Savdhutam Parijana Sahitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Vritamscha Vancha Kalpatarubhashcha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradacharya Guruvar ki jai Vrajbhumi Shri Vrindavan Dham ki jai Purushottam Kshetra Jagannath Puri Dham ki jai Aradhyo Bhagwan Vrajesha Tanayas Tadham Vrindavanam Ramya Kachidupasna Vrajvadhuvargena Taya Kalpita Shrimad Bhagavata Puranamalam Prema Pumartho Maha Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhor Mataidam Nayatrayagraha Paraha Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhor Mataidam Nayatra Agraha Paraha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. Please accept my Danvat Pranams. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. All glories to all the Acharyas in the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai. So, thank you very much for giving us your association, and as announced, we will be continuing into the Damodar Ashtakam and the Dambandhan Lila based on the explanations of Gopal Bhatta Goswami, based on the explanations of Jiva Goswami and Srila Sanatana Goswami Pad. And if you all remember, last time we started the verse number 7. We had just finished verse number 6, and we entered into verse number 7 of the Damodar Ashtakam. Now, just to quickly recap, just in case if some of you are not present in this particular, the last few sessions, just very briefly, we had actually gone through the different wonderful conversation between between Satyavrat Muni and Krishna. As mentioned, that this is a subtle conversation, a sukshma samvad. And this was revealed to us by Sanatana Goswami Pad in his Digdarshini, in the Hari Bhakti Vilas. Normally we sing the Damodar Ashtakam in every Kartik, or sometimes some devotees like to sing it every day. And we do not sometimes, unless and until we get the mercy of the acharyas, we are not able to understand the deeper or the inner meanings of this Ashtakam unless and until we get the kripa, we obtain the kripa. And Sanatana Goswami's kripa and Jiva Goswami's kripa has been such that they have revealed that it is as if it is a conversation. And Satyavrat Muni starts by praising the Supreme Lord, Namami Ishwaram Satchidananda Rupam Lasata Kundalam Gokule Brajamanam Yashoda Biyulu Kalat Dhamamanam Paramastam Atyanta Tato Dhrutya Gopya, wherein he praises the Satchidananda feature of Sri Krishna in Gokul. He specifies that there are many Satchidananda Rupas, all the expansions of Sri Krishna, all the Narayana forms, the different Vishnu forms, the different expansions of Sri Krishna, the Guna avatars, the other Lila avatars, etc. They are all expansions of Sri Krishna, and they have the same potency. Just like in the Brahma Samhita, it is said that there is one original lamp and it lights all other lamps. And all the other lamps also have the same potency. So they are also Satchitananda Rupa. But Satyavrat Muni has specifically specified that the one in Gokul, Gokule Brajman, who splendorously resides in Gokul. So his interest is only in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, Nandanandan, Yashodanandan, who is the source of everything. Janmadi Yasya, Yato Anvayat, Itaratascha, Arteshwa, Abhigyaswarat, Tene Brahma, Hriday Adi Kavayi, Mohyanti Yat Surya, Tejo Vari, Mridam Yatha Vinimayo, Yatra Trisargo Amrusha, Dhamna Svena Sada Nirasta Pokam, Satyam Param Dhimahi. The first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam that Vyasadeva was so meticulously compiled is packed with 6 different darshans, and we had gone through this verse about 3 months ago in detail. So here the interest of Satyavrat Muni lies in Nandanandan, and that is why the Gaudiya Vaishnavas are interested in this Ashtakam. So that's one of the important tattvas or the philosophies of this Ashtakam. Also, he in the Dasatva or in the Dasya Visesha, he offers his obeisances to attract Krishna's attention. When he mentions Namami Ishwaram Satchidananda Rupam, and Namami means I offer my obeisances, but to that Satchidananda who is in Gokul. Now, after doing that, he not only does that, he praises Krishna's own jewelry. Lasata Kundalam Gokule Brajmanam. He is praising Krishna's jewelry, how fortunate Krishna's earrings are that they are able to kiss Krishna's beautiful lotus cheeks, and thereby eulogizing Krishna's paraphernalia. We have to again remember that everything in the spiritual world is full of chitta. They are conscious, they are jivas, they are Vaishnavas. Unlike in this material world, we have mentioned that many times, that in the material world, a table is a table, a chair is a chair, or maybe a guitar or a harmonium or a tabla or a mridanga, it cannot do anything by its own. They are inanimate objects because they don't have life. So it needs an external force or a jiva to activate it or push it or to work it. Then and only then even the most sophisticated machines work. Srila Prabhupada used to mention that even sometimes they mentioned about the autopilots, the planes that can fly autopilot. Yes, that is true, that the plane can fly autopilot the moment, even the takeoff and the landing and everything, but somebody has, a real person with a real consciousness has to push the first button. So but in the spiritual world, everything is full of chitta, everything is consciousness. Everything and all are Vaishnavas. So he is expressing great joy and praising Krishna's jewelry, and then further he goes on to praise Krishna's Rupa, Satchitananda Rupa, Rupa Visesha, praising Krishna's beauty. And then further he praises his mother, Mother Yashoda, and praises the wonderful sweet Lila, Yashoda, Biyulu Kalat Davamanam, Paramastam Atyanta Tato Drutya Gopya. How Mother Yashoda conquered Krishna with her love, because her love exceeded the love of Krishna, therefore she was able to catch Krishna from behind. Our Acharyas time and again mentioned that everybody knows that Krishna is Bhakta Vatsala, but very few actually know or understand when we use the word term Bhakta Vashya. Vashya means one, Krishna comes under the control of the devotee. And that only happens when the love of the devotee increases more than the love of Sri Krishna. Very, very important principle. So this Damodar Ashtakam has got so much tattva and so much rasa. It's a combination of both. So like that, praising his mother, he continues and he sees, he tells Sri Krishna that I saw how you were so naughty and your mother caught up from behind. And then you started crying in the second verse. Rudantam muhur netra yugmam rijantam karam bhoja yugmena satanka netram muhusasha kampat rirekhanka kanta stita graiva damodar bhakti baddam. Wherein you started that you started crying and you actually rubbed your two lotus hands and you induced false tears initially. And then due to your mother is thinking that your mother Yashoda is so innocent and she will not punish you because of your naughtiness, you will be set free. Then your mother Yashoda, seeing that, finding out that you are actually pretending crocodile tears, she even becomes more and more stern. And then when she becomes stern, actually you start crying, wherein your mascara in your eyes and tears are flowing from your eyes, and Mother Yashoda then at that point throws the stick away, but still does not let Damodar go, still does not let the little Krishna go away from her grip, because out of her pure Vatsalya Rasa, her love has exceeded so much so that she does not want Krishna to be spoiled, and so that when he grows up, he would give a bad name to himself and the family. And like that, she keeps on conversing with Krishna with beautiful conversation, that etc. And we have already heard that, and those who have not, then you all can visit the different parts of the Damodar Ashtakam Lila. Moving forward, so Krishna, like that, Satyavrat Muni is praising his mother's love, the Vatsalya Rasa. And not only that, in the next verse, Idriksa Lila Vir Ananda Kunde Swagosha Nimanjantam Akhya Payantam Tadiyeshit Agneshur Bhaktarijitatuam Puna Premastam Shattavruti Vande, wherein he eulogizes not only Mother Yashoda, but he eulogizes the Gokul Vasis, the inhabitants of Gokul, and how Sri Krishna drowned the inhabitants of Gokul in a pool of ecstasy by different wonderful antics and his lovely stealing of the butter and different tactics, along with his different coward boyfriends, how he went into the different houses and he tricked the gopis, and the gopis were just waiting, when will this Kana, when will this naughty boy come today and ransack my kitchen, and I will catch him red-handed. And they were simply waiting, and Krishna, fulfilling the desires of the gopis, went to steal. Actually, Krishna doesn't need to steal anything. It is because the pure devotees desire so that you come to my house and you will steal, and I will catch you and I will hear you speak those wonderful little baby-like talk, and that will mesmerize me. And like that, Krishna fulfilled the desires of all the devotees and drowning them in an ecstasy of pool. And then Krishna, in the conversation with Satyavrat Muni, says, look, oh my devotees of Vaikuntha, look at the devotees. Here is a good example of the devotees in Braj, the devotees in Gokul. Please look at them. Tadiyeshit Agneshur Bhaktarijitatam. Those who have knowledge that I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is talking to all those devotees in Vaikuntha, or in the mood of Aishwarya. that those who have knowledge of my Aishwarya, please take a look at the love that these Gokulvasis or these Vrajvasis have, where they do not even know, or sometimes they have some kind of abhas or a semblance that I am the Supreme Lord, but they throw it out of the window. They just know me as their darling friend, as their darling son, as their darling paramour. And so please look at this example of pure bhakti. And Satyavratmani offers Shatavruti one day, hundreds and hundreds of obeisances to the love that has been expressed, which is the highest pinnacle in theism, that is in the Vrajmandal. Further on, Krishna being so pleased with Satyavratmani, again this subtle conversation continues, and Krishna offers Satyavratmani, being so pleased, what do you want, O Satyavratmani? And Satyavratmani, understanding that Krishna is now going to give me different benedictions, he immediately, in a very formal tone, says, Varam Deva Moksham Na Moksham Abdimva. Varam Dev, he calls him by his Gaunyanam. If you all remember, we mentioned there are two different delineations in the holy name. One is Gaunyanam and one is Pramukhnam. Gaunyanam is when we address the Supreme Lord as Hey Prabhu, Hey Paramatma, Hey Bhagwan, Hey Parameshwar, Hey Varam Deva. So he calls him Varam Dev. It's a formal name. And the Mukhya Naam is when we call him Damodar, we call him Govinda, we call him Shyam Sundar, we call him Radharaman, we call him Gokulananda, we call him by all those Yashodanandan, we call him Nandanandan. So the names are tied to his sweet Leelas, or they are tied to his own most intimate pastimes when we call him Radharaman. When we call him Gopi Jana Vallabha, then he is so pleased. Those who are initiated with the second initiation, the last two Gayatri mantras that are there, especially these such words are being used to appease Sri Krishna because of the different Pramukh Naams in the last two Gayatris. Unfortunately, I cannot mention them because it is not permitted to speak about these Gayatri mantras in the public. So, but those who are twice initiated, when you do recite that, you can see that how that those Pramukh Naams have been mentioned in those Gayatri mantras. So the point being that Pramukh and Gaunya, so here he becomes formal and he's saying that Varam Deva, oh giver of benedictions, Varam Deva, Mokshamna, I'm not interested in liberation. Krishna says, yes, let me give you that. There are so many persons in this world waiting to get liberation. There's a long queue. Pantastu koti shatvatsar sampragamyo vayo rathapi manaso muni pungavanam sopi asti yat prapadasimni achintya tattve govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. In the Brahma Samhita, it is mentioned by Lord Brahma that there are some rishis or some munis sitting in drilling the respiration for thousands and thousands of years in a yogic posture, trying to do their pranayams and all their yogic exercises so that they can attain perfection. They can attain their ashtasiddhis. They can attain their perfection of the chakra that they can take, and then it can break from their head and then they can get liberation. But those persons, only some of them who have attained that kind of perfection, only get the darshan of the effulgence that appears from the toe nail of Sri Krishna. So even though they sit in meditation for millions and pantastu koti, koti means thousands. Pantastu koti shatvatsar sampragamyo. Vayo means drilling. Vayu means the life air. Vayo rathapi manaso. Muni pungavana. Muni means these munis or these yogis, they said. So he says that, but Krishna is telling Satyavratmani that so many people are waiting. You see, in the Himalayas and in the caves, and some of them in the Satyayug sitting for 60,000 years in meditation just to simply attain my mercy, to attain Vaikuntha. So there Satyavratmani says, even you, before you think of giving me liberation, I do not want liberation. So here that shows that Bhaktivinoda is made up of pure devotion, and that is why the Gaudiya Vaishnavas love this Damodar Ashtakam. And then he wants Krishna, because Krishna, he's having a conversation as if it is, before you even tell me that I'm going to give you liberation, in Vaikuntha, because liberation is of different types. liberation to the Mayavadis and the Brahmavadis is in the Brahma Jyoti effulgence. And they are pleased to get there and thinking that is to be ultimate. So he says, no, moksham. And then he says, avadhim va. I do not even seek liberation. Avad means Vaikuntha. Avad means Ayodhya Puri. So there are different meanings of Avad. Tulsidas ji mentions in the Ramayana, Valmiki, etc., that Avad is also known as Ayodhya, because Lord Ramachandra brought Ayodhya or Vaikuntha Loka with him from the spiritual sky. Just like the Vrindavan Dham that we have here in the Bhaumya Vrindavan, it came from Golok Vrindavan. The Bhaumya Vrindavan is non-different from Golok Vrindavan. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Jive Doya Kori Swa Parshad Siyo Dham Saha Avatari. The Krishna or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came down along with his associate and along with his dham. Krishna Varnam Tisha Krishnam Sango Pango Parshadam. Krishna always comes along with his associates, with his paraphernalia, and when his dham, when he comes to this material world. Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentions Asya Prapanche Jivera Karane Lila Koile Shubishtar. In this bhajan, Gopinath Mama Nivedana Sano. Shuno, that you come, my dear Krishna. Oh Gopinath, you come, you descend to this material world just to save the souls of this and of this material world suffering, and you perform your sweet, wonderful pastimes. Asya Prapanche Jivera Karane, for the sake of the fallen souls. So like this, Satyavrat Muni is saying, I'm not even interested in Vaikuntha. And as if Krishna is surprised, you're not interested in Vaikuntha. I can understand that you're not interested in the Sahajya Mukti or the other types of Mukti that even the demons and the yogis get, or the Brahmavadis and the Mayavadis get. But what's wrong with Vaikuntha? Can you imagine that you are rejecting Vaikuntha? Are you sure? So Satyavrat Muni says, even before you offer that, no cho anye. And I am not even interested in any kind of bhakti on the lines of Dhruv Maharaj or Prahlad Maharaj. Now this is very amazing, and I'm repeating these things because I see a few new faces on this. Before we started, I saw that they had logged in. And again, a revision is always good because I want everybody, including myself, to understand the Gaudiya Tattva. What is Gaudiya Vaishnavism? What is it? It's the level of pure devotion is unparalleled in Gaudiya Vaishnava. And that is one of the reasons, again and again, this Damodar Ashtakam has been likened by the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, and commentaries by great acharyas like Sanatana Goswami and Jiva Goswami have got their attention, and they have been so kind to give us this wonderful treatise in this form of their commentaries. So like this, Satyavrat Muni rejects even Nacha Anya means others before you, because if I get the devotion of Prahlad and Dhruva, then where will I end up? I will end up in Vaikuntha. So which I'm not interested. I'm only interested in Vraj. I'm only interested in Gokul, which he has already specified in the first verse. And then he says, if you want to give me something, then what? Idam te vapurnatham gopala balam sadame manasi avirashtam kim anni. If you want to give me, then give me more of this sweet childhood pastimes. Idam te vapurnatham gopala balam. In the Vatsalya Ras, he is indeed so interested that he has said that please enhance this Ras that I'm getting a glimpse of. And Krishna, being so pleased with his prayer and his pure devotion, he grants that. And as soon as he grants that, we enter into verse number 5. That verse number 5 is Idam te mukham bhojam atyanta nile vitam kunta laisnigda raktaischa gopya muhuschumbitam bimba rakta adharam me manasi avirastam alang laksha labhe. Wherein now Sri Krishna has given him this transcendental boon, a very special vision of Sfurti. It is called Sfurti in Sanskrit. It's Sfurtis, even though somebody is situated here in this material world, but when they are chanting the holy names or when they are meditating on the form of Krishna or the holy names, they can actually see the sweet pastimes of Sri Krishna. So Satyavrat Muni is seeing this wonderful pastime where the Krishna's lotus face now is being beautifully described by him, that it is like so beautiful that his hair are so beautiful, his lotus-like face is encircled with soft hair, snigdha, and it is like as if that Krishna's lotus face is encircled by a swarm of bumblebees. and those bumblebees are encircling his face, which is in the form of his beautiful soft hair that has got a reddish tinge. Raktai, raktai, the word rakta is being used here, reddish tinge, because of the bumblebee. Sometimes we see that in the back part of the bumblebees there is a reddish or a bluish hue or a color that kind of shines, and that is why that reddish hue is there in Krishna's hair, like it is an analogy, that is the beauty that he is comparing a lotus, and bumblebees are attracted to the most beautiful nectarian lotus. And then he's seeing how Mother Yashoda incessantly and continuously kisses Damodar on his cheeks. Again and again he's being kissed, and his beautiful red lips are like the bimba fruit that are being kissed by Mother Yashoda. Now when that happens, he also gets a very special, very quick glance of the gopis in the Kaishorya bhav, in the amorous ras. The gopis, they are also kissing Sri Krishna in the Madhurya rasa. So as we all know, in the very first session we had briefly mentioned the different relationships that one can have with the Supreme Lord, which is Shant ras, the relationship of neutrality. The second ras being the Dasya ras, the relationship of a servant and a master. And the third relation being a friendship, fraternity, relationship between a friend and another friend, and the relationship between a parents and a child, which is Vatsalya ras, and the relationship between the lover and the beloved, husband and wife, or a boyfriend and a girlfriend, which is the lover, the lover and the beloved, or the paramour love, or the amorous love, which is known as Madhurya rasa. These five rasas eternally exist in the spiritual world, and that is why they exist here in this material world, because this material world is a perverted reflection of the spiritual world, spiritual sky. So he got a little glimpse of the gopis kissing Sri Krishna on his beautiful lips, and now a greed develops in his heart. A greed from Vatsalya ras. Now he wants to graduate into the Madhurya rasa, and like this he is so infatuated with getting into the mood of the Madhurya ras, that greed has developed. And we did mention that greed is a very important role, like all the bad habits that we have in this world, that we have in this material world, they can actually be dovetailed to Krishna's service. Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Mad, Matsarya, etc. Everything can be used in Krishna's service, including Lobha. Lobha meaning the greed. So we had mentioned, we've all mentioned that verse from the Padyavali of Rupa Goswami, Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavita Mati Kriyatam Yadi Kuto Api Labhyate Tatra Lolyam Api Mulyam Ekalam. The only price for pure devotion is transcendental greed. Janma Koti Sukritir Na Labhyate. So pure devotional service and Krishna consciousness cannot be had even by millions and millions of births of pious activities. And it can only be attained by paying only one price, which is intense greed. And that is what is also mentioned by Vishwanath Chakravarti Pad in the Mangal Arati in the 5th verse. Sri Radhika Madhurya Rapara Madhurya Lila Guna Rupa Namna Prati Shanaswa Dana Lolupasya greed Vande Guroho Sri Charnarvindam. I offer my obeisances unto those gurus and acharyas who with great greed relish the unlimited sweet Madhurya Ras pastimes of Radha and Krishna. And they are very greedy, not only to relish them, but also to speak about them. So that is the law. When this is what we can do, we can purchase pure bhakti. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has mentioned this, Srila Prabhupada used to mention this verse of the Padyavali of Rupa Goswami. We have to develop that greed. Unless and until we don't develop, just like in the material world, we develop greed for so many material things. We develop greed for a nice house, nice car, nice comforts, money, that greed. And when that greed develops, eventually, one becomes successful in their material endeavor. The same thing can be dovetailed in Krishna's service, in Krishna Bhakti. And that is the only price. One has to have that greed. That greed, seeing that greed, Krishna suddenly disappears and all the spurtis are gone, just like as if there is a blackout. Even the Vatsalya rasa pastimes that he was looking at that he had got the spurtis, they completely vanish from his vision. And at that time, we enter into the 6th verse, where Satyavrat Muni becomes extremely sad. He becomes sad because he is saying that Namo Deva Damodar Ananta Vishnu Prasiddha Prabho Dukkha Jalabdhi Magnam Kripa Drishti Vrishyati Dinam Batanu Grihanisha Mahamagya Edi Akshi Drishya. Here, the wonderful qualities, first of all, is offering obeisances to the Supreme Lord out of humility. That, alas, what has happened to me? O Damodar, O Ananta, O Unlimited, O Vishnu. And we explained the meaning of Vishnu. We have seen that why does the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, even Satyavrat Muni in verse number 4, he has already rejected Vaikuntha. That means he has already rejected Vishnu and Lord Narayana forms in one sense. So, why is he speaking about Namo Deva Damodar Ananta Vishnu? So this Vishnu, our Sanatana Goswami Pad explains, it means in Sanskrit, if we translate into simple English, it means one who is all pervading, one who is present, simultaneously present everywhere. And here this Vishnu basically or specifically means Nandanandan Krishna in Vraj Bhumi. Sometimes Sri Krishna is on the banks of the Jamuna at Keshi Ghat, or sometimes he is at the Jugala Ghat, or sometimes he is in the banks of the Radhakund, or sometimes he is in the banks, or he is at Kusum Sarovar, or he is at Mansi Ganga, or sometimes he is at Govind Kund, sometimes he is in the caves, sometimes he is in Kamyavan, and he is present simultaneously. And sometimes we find that he is still sleeping and still breastfeeding on Mother Yashoda in the house. So this we had explained to Bhaktivinoda Thakur's vision from Krishna Samhita, that Golok Vrindavan is like a lotus. And according to the bhav of the devotee, the rasa, that Krishna is present in all these prakostas and he satisfies the devotee's wishes. If somebody who is in Vatsalya Ras, like the devotees in the Vallabh Sampradaya, the devotees of Sri Vallabhacharya, Pustiman, they are very much into Vatsalya Ras. I would say 98 or 99% of the devotees in the Vallabha Sampradaya, they are in the Nandalaya Seva. Nandalaya Seva means that Seva to Sri Krishna when Krishna is a little boy, maximum 7 years old. Srinathji, Gopalji, the one that we see who lifted Govardhan Hill, and any of those forms that are under that age. So Krishna cannot live without his Vatsalya Ras. So he prepares for a special prakosta in Goloka, in one of the petals where he's eternally that small baby darling boy, and eternally all those devotees in Vatsalya Ras relish those pastimes with him. And they may not even get, and they are not even interested in viewing or being a part of the other rasas or Sakhya Ras or Vatsalya Ras. So like this, Krishna, but there are certain devotees who are present in more than one rasa. And we have many examples like that, like Lord Balaram himself, he's present in all 5 rasas. He's in Sakhya Rasa, he's even in Madhurya Rasa as Radharani's younger sister, Ananga Manjari. And of course, he is there as a Sakha, as a friend. He's there as a servitor. He serves as Ananta Sesha. He serves as Lord Balaram, by putting all the universes on his head, serving Sri Krishna. He serves as Lakshman to Lord Ramachandra. Wherever Lord Ramachandra went in the 14 years of exile, Lakshman did not even sleep for a single wink. And like that, that is Balaram's service. And, also, and in the Shantras, he also serves in the form of different paraphernalia. And also in a mixed Dasya and a Shantras, where all the puja paraphernalia that we use, or the mridanga, or the kartal, and all the puja thalis and the ringing bell, they are all expansions of Sri Balaram. So we have to be very careful when we are using that paraphernalia. We should give them an asan. We've seen so many times in the temple, devotees, when the kirtan starts, they pick up the mridanga and then pick up the kartals, and after the kirtan is finished, they leave it anywhere on the floor. No, it is Lord Balaram. We should visualize that this is an expansion Lord. We should give them an asan. And the proper system is to give not only an asan but also a vastra. Like the mridanga should be covered with a vastra, with a nice cloth, So this is the respect, because these are all Vaishnavas. Because unless and until we develop that consciousness, then we will never be able to be a part of the Golok mood. Because everything in Golok Vrindavan, like if you all remember, we mentioned about Mother Yashoda trying to pacify the milk, wanting to commit suicide, because the milk thought that my life is useless, and Mother Yashoda cannot, is not going to use me, because she is feeding Krishna so sumptuously with her own breastfeeding that she will not use me. Feeling so morose as a Vaishnava, life is useless. So wants to commit suicide by jumping into the fire, and Mother Yashoda has a wonderful conversation that no, because that milk is a Vaishnava. That is not true, my dear milk. I cannot make sweets. I cannot make sandesh. I cannot make rasgulla. I cannot make all those wonderful makhan that my Kana or my Lala loves. I will have to use you. So be patient. I will certainly use you in Krishna's seva. So everything in Golok Vrindavan, that vow should be that everything in the temple is actually Golok Vrindavan. By mistake, we touch our feet to something, we should immediately offer our obeisances. Even if it is a pillar in the temple, that is what our consciousness should be. That my feet has touched something in the temple, it is all transcendental, it is all divyam. They are all Vaishnavas. So like this, Satyavrat Muni in a very humble mood is praying to Vishnu or all pervading Nanda Nandan, Yashoda Nandan in the different prakostas of Golok, Vrindavan, in the different rasas. He's reciprocating with his devotees. So like this, praying to Nanda Nandan, please, I've lost everything. I've fallen into a huge net of an ocean, and I'm drowning. So please bestow your mercy. Kripa drishti vrushyati dinam batanu grihane shamamagyam ediyakshi drishya. Just like when the gopis, when Krishna disappeared, they started singing the Gopi Geet in a similar mood of the Gopi Geet. He's lamenting in the separation of Krishna and the pastimes of Sri Krishna, that he is not able to see or visualize anymore. So like this, he continues into the 7th verse. And how does he continue to the 7th verse? The mood is amazing. It is full of humility. He is actually telling Sri Krishna, Kuver atma jau baddha murtaivat yadvat taya mochitav bhaktir bhajav krutavcha tatha prema bhaktim swakam me prayacha na mokshe grihamasti damodarya. Beautiful. Here, actually, we had mentioned last time that after Mother Yashoda tied Sri Krishna to the grinding motor in the storeroom, and at that time, she goes back along with all the gopis into the kitchen to clean up and then also to prepare a lot of items for the Indra Yagya. And in the meantime, Mother Rohini comes, and Mother Rohini comes along with Balram, because they had gone overnight to Sri Upananda's place, the elder brother of Nanda Maharaj, for to prepare for the huge festival that was happening today in those days, that was Indra Yagya. And when she comes home, she goes immediately into the kitchen, and hearing all the sounds from the storeroom, Baldev Prabhu, little Baldev, who's also 2.5 years old, runs immediately in that direction into the storeroom. There he sees that there is a lot of noise and there's the crying of Krishna. Baldevji is very now much upset seeing that Krishna is crying, and he's tied to a grinding motor, and he looks very sternly. And he has invoked his Satchitananda form with his Aishwarya Roop and his anger, looking at the Bal Gopals, looking at the coward boys. Who did this to him? How dare you all tie my brother? And like this, he chastises, looking at everybody, and Madhumangal leans forward and says, Dau Dada, Yashoda Maiya, Mother Yashoda did this. And then Dau said, oh, he cannot do anything, kind of, he was taken aback. So his anger subsides, and Kana, being tied at the motor, he's crying, Dau, all these friends are useless, they cannot untie me. Previously, the friends had tried to untie him, but they could not untie Krishna, although they all one by one tried to untie Sri Krishna, Damodar, from that upturned grinding mortar. So now Balram comes forward and he says, Kana, don't worry, your Dao is here, he will free you. And he tries to open that knot, and he tries so hard, but that knot cannot be untied. And the tattva or the philosophy that we had explained by the mercy of Guru Gauranga and our acharyas, that because this knot was tied by Mother Yashoda, and she is in what rasa? She is in Vatsalya rasa. Because she is in Vatsalya rasa, she cannot, Balram Prabhu at that time is in the Sakya rasa. So the Vatsalya rasa has got a specialty which has a higher respect in terms of the reciprocation. It is considered in terms of course, all the rasas or all the relationships with Krishna are amazing and they are very, very special. But then if we look at it from the perspective of the intense love or the gradation of love, then the Vatsalya ras supersedes the Sakya ras. And because that knot was tied in Vatsalya ras, it superseded the strength of the Sakya ras, including Bala Ram. Bala means strength and Ram means one who gives pleasure to the devotees. So that Bala is spiritual strength, that is Balram. Balramji is the Adi Guru. He is Rajendra Nandan Sachishutta Hoilo Sei Balram Hoilo Nitai. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared about 500 years ago in Bengal, at that time, Balram could not stay without Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, without Krishna. He appeared as Rajendra Nandan Sachishutta Hoilo Sei. He became the son of Mother Sachi, and Balram Hoilo Nitai. And Balram became Nityananda Prabhu. We chant this Panchatattva before chanting the holy names. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Sri Krishna in the mood of Radharani. Nityananda Prabhu is Lord Baldev. Advaita Acharya is Mahavishnu, the one who reclines in the Karunadaksha Jal, who is one of the subjective portions of Sri Krishna, and who is also the cause of the material worlds, and he is also the cause of Garbhodakshai Vishnu, from whom Lord Brahma emanates, and then also further he is the cause of Shirodakshai Vishnu, or the Paramatma that is there in each and every atom and each and every living entity, along with every jiva. So this, and then of course Gadadhar Pandit is Radharani, and Srivas Acharya is Narad Muni. So that is Panchatattva. So we take their blessings because we do not have Ekaki Amar Nahi Paibal Harinam Sankirtane. Because of our inebrities, because of our illusion, because of our imperfect senses, because of all the conditioning that we have since time immemorial, we have been constantly committing offenses and sinful activities, knowingly or unknowingly. Therefore, we seek the blessings of Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda before we chant the holy names, so that our holy names, when we chant, we can get that proper mood. And even if we don't get that proper mood, it will be acceptable because of the lawyers, the most merciful lawyers in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. Nityananda Prabhu is Adi Guru. Balram is Adi Guru. So this is and he's got the Shakti also of strength. Unlimited strength he does have. Even though he had that unlimited strength, he could not untie Sri Krishna. But had Balramji been in the form of Ananga Manjari, then she could have easily untied the knot, because that is in the Madhurya Rasa. And Madhurya Rasa has got a certain more degree of prema than even Vatsalya. For the sake of understanding, all of them are of great specialties. None of them we should consider that, we are in the Madhurya Rasa, so that the Vatsalya Rasa is inferior, or the Dasya Rasa is no. Then we are committing offenses. These are very specialties, and as per Krishna's wishes, those devotees reciprocate with him in a particular rasa. And he also likes to reciprocate in those rasas with those devotees. But of course, Krishna becomes more and more Bhakta Vasya as the gradation from Dasya to Sakya, Sakya to Vatsalya, and from Vatsalya to Madhurya. That is a fact. So like this, he is actually, Krishna now, Balaram unable to untie him. Krishna is still upset, he's still crying, but then Madhumangal and his friends are very funny. They make Krishna laugh, they try to crack some jokes, and then they say, why don't we go outside and we start playing? And Krishna looks at him down with the grinding motor and how he's tied, and they say, don't worry, we'll roll you out. And they roll Krishna out into the open courtyard, and then they're all circling Krishna and playing the catch up or hide and seek. And then in the meantime, Krishna trying to catch up with them, he actually gets in the courtyard. There are trees, actually twin trees, with actually two huge trunks, but at the bottom they were one. And these twin trees, Krishna trying to catch them, trying to take a shortcut. Little did he realize that he's got a grinding motor, and he went in between and he got stuck in between those grinding motors. So here Satyavrat Muni is saying that Kuver Atmaja. Kuver means the treasurer of heaven. Kuvera. Just like we have treasurer in temples, we have treasurer in big corporations, we have treasurers, right? They have a portfolio. So these treasure, the Kuver is the treasurer of heaven. He's got the keys to the safe, to all the treasure that is there in heaven. So the king of heaven, Indra, has given him this position. And Atmaja means his sons, the sons of Kuver. Who are they? Nala Kuver and Managriva. These two personalities. So basically when Krishna goes in between those trees, trying to catch his friends, he tugs because he's stuck. And just because of a slight tug, both those huge trees come falling down. They come falling down with a tumultuous sound, and Sri Krishna, the little 2.5-year-old baby Krishna, is between those two huge trunks, which he could have easily been crushed, if it was a normal baby. But out came out these two wonderful heavenly personalities out of those two huge trunks that had fallen down, that Krishna had pulled down, and they circumambulated Krishna, and all the cowherd boys looked at it with amazement that these demigods from somewhere they came and they were simply offering prayers to Krishna, and they circumambulated and then they left into the sky. They disappeared into the sky. So here there's a wonderful pastime, and we have to understand why this mention of Satyavrat Muni mentions this pastime of the sons of Kuver. So we have to go into the pastime. How did it happen? The sons of Kuver were actually in heaven, in Swarga, the third Swarga. Actually, there are 6 heavenly planets: Bhur, Bhuha, Swahar, Janar, Mahar, Tapas, Satya, or Brahmaloka. So the third heavenly planet, which is the planet of Lord Indra, there are so many comforts also, and so many wonderful sense gratification. So there is a river or a lake called Mandakini, and there these two sons of Kuver, Nala Kuver and Manigriva, were actually bathing along with a lot of apsaras. They were young girls, they were bathing along with them in that pool of the Mandakini, and they were practically naked. And not only that, they were also enjoying somrasa, or they were enjoying wine. They were intoxicated. And they were intoxicated, and as I need not further elaborate that one man is intoxicated, and when they are in the company of women, especially naked women, then you can imagine that what the condition of those persons or that person is. And at that same time, while they were frolicking in the Mandakini river with these apsaras of heaven, at that time Naradji happened to pass by through that part of the forest. And Naradji saw that these boys and girls were frolicking in a very shameless way, and he saw the cups of wines in their hands, and they were intoxicated. And when Naradji, even when he came closer, they refused to, the two sons especially, Nalakuver and Managriva, refused to even pay attention to him. But the ladies that were there, they were felt ashamed, and they started taking cover, seeing a saint or seeing another person, they felt full of shame, and they started taking cover of and they started immersing themselves fully in water, or some of them went behind some groves that were sticking out into the water and they covered themselves. But these two boys started yelling and screaming and saying, "Hey, where are you going? Come back!" And in their intoxicated state, they did not even offer obeisances or acknowledge the existence or the presence of Naradji. So Naradji, seeing that, look how shameless they have become, that they do not even recognize that a saintly personality is passing by, and still they are shamelessly simply doing what they are doing. So he said that then they should be punished. Now, so therefore they were actually cursed. So Naradji said that because of this, then when the curse came out, at that time they noticed that Naradji actually cursed them. And they fell at Naradji's feet and, please forgive us, Naradji. We did not realize, we are like your little kids, blah, 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 blah. And they pleaded and pleaded and pleaded. And Naradji said that, I am going to curse you, but, as trees. And the reason why as trees is because Srila Prabhupada used to mention this quite a bit. Prabhupada had this wonderful habit of going for early morning walks. After Mangalarti, usually when the sun arose, or when it was almost dawn, Srila Prabhupada would simply go out for a morning walk, and many of his disciples would follow him. And it was just a wonderful treat for all his disciples, or even sometimes just people who joined him in his morning walk. And there were so many Krishna conscious discussions and so many things to learn from Srila Prabhupada. So Srila Prabhupada, one time, I believe it was in San Francisco, and he was walking in one of the parks. It was probably a Golden Gate Park or something like that. And sometimes Srila Prabhupada would walk and go to the beach. Like even when he was in Jagannath Puri, he would go to the beach, or in such places where there is nice fresh air. So sometimes even in the US, when he went to California or Florida places, he used to sometimes take morning walks at the beach. And then he used to see these shameless boys and girls dressed almost naked without any clothes. And then Prabhupada would stop and say, just see them. In their next lives, they will become trees. Because and based on, it is sort of fact, there are 8,400,000 species of life. And Jalaja Navalakshani Stavram Lakshvamsati. Jalaja, there's Stavram Lakshvamsati. Lakshvamsati, 20 lakh varieties of plants and creepers that they are called Stavaram. Stavaram means those that cannot move. They are kind of in one place, they are put. So we can see that plants or trees, they're put in one place and they're naked. They have to stand naked because most of these jivas may have committed some offenses of being naked, although they have been given a body that should be well within the proper vivek or within the maryada, within the Vedic custom. If one disrespects the elders and when they wear, the clothing that is not appropriate. Again, this is a Vedic perspective. Now, I don't want anybody to come back to me and tell me later on that, nowadays it's common. I'm speaking from the Vedic perspective, and I'm speaking as it is from Srila Prabhupada's conversations. So Srila Prabhupada said that just see how they are. In the next lives, they will become naked. Because Krishna has arrangements. If you have the desire to be naked most of the time, expose your body, wear very scanty clothing, then there is a species that is available in the form of trees and plants that you can stay naked. Some of these trees, Prabhupada says, and we all know that some of these trees are there for thousands of years. They're like some of the banyan trees or the peepal trees, etc. In India, we see that some of them are very, very old. They span over several meters, and they are very old, thousands of years old. Even when we go, I believe some of the devotees have joined from Chicago. There's the botanical garden in Chicago, and there are certain trees that are probably over 500 years old. So the thing is that, like that, Naradji cursed them to become trees. But because of their pleading, he says, don't worry. I've cursed you to become trees in the courtyard of Nanda Maharaj. So whenever a Vaishnava, whether a Vaishnava chastises or a Vaishnava when a Vaishnava is angry or a Vaishnava is smiling, it is always a benediction. We should never, especially when it comes from a pure Vaishnava, because it only means well for the other person. That is the real definition of a Vaishnava. Vaishnava janto tene kaiye peeda parai jane de. Narsi Mehta's famous bhajan that Gandhiji used to sing, and the whole world knows about it. Vaishnava Narsi Mehta was a pure devotee of Sri Krishna, and he has written wonderful bhajans glorifying Sri Krishna. So one of the things or quality of a Vaishnava is that whatever Vaishnava does, he does it for the well-being of all, for the other being. Praptasya kalyana gunar navasya vande guru Shri Charnarvindam. Because they have obtained this auspiciousness in parampara as it is. That is how they have learned. Where they do not care about money, they do not care about fame, they do not care about pratishtha. None of that. It is only for the well-being. They are the transcendental ocean of transcendental qualities. Gunar navasya. Guna avarna. Arnava. Guna arnava. Guna means transcendental qualities and arnava means ocean. Guna arnava vasya vande guru Shri Charnarvindam. So he said that you will be actually liberated personally by Nandananda. And not only that, you will be very fortunate to actually see the pastimes of baby Krishna. See those wonderful pastimes in Gokul, which is very rare, not even to the best of the best devotees. Even Lord Shiva or even Lakshmi Devi is not permitted into Sri Vrindavan. Lakshmi Devi is doing tapasya in Belwan, hoping one day she will get the benediction so that she can get the mercy of the gopis. So it is something that we have to understand that within spiritual realm there is different specialties wherein Sri Krishna is controlled by the more intense the love is. And the love in Gokul or the love in Vrindavan or in Braj Bhumi is super excellent. And therefore, so you will get that benediction, and that way Krishna himself will liberate you. So that was the beauty of the curse. That curse also became a blessing. And the time for that blessing fructified when Krishna toppled those two trees and the sons of two Kubers, they came out. Now, what is the reason that Saptavrat Muni mentions this particular pastimes of Sri Krishna? Krishna's Sri Radhika Madhavi or Apara, Krishna's pastimes are apart, unlimited. But why this particular one? So here it is as if in this conversation, Saptavrat Muni, having lost his spurti or vision of Vatsalya Ras and the little glimpse that he had got in the Madhurya Ras, losing everything, he's lamenting. He's lamenting and he's becoming extremely humble and calling out in the names of the Lord in the previous verse that Sankirtan. So Sankirtan is something that attracts Sri Krishna. Whether Sukhe Dukho, Dai Gora Madhura Sware, Harinam Gai Gora Madhura Sware, Sukhe Dukhe Bhule Na Ko, Vadane Hari Naam Kaho Re, Gai Gora Madhura Sware. Whether you are in distress or whether you are in happiness, always chant the holy names. Gai Gora Madhura Sware. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written this wonderful bhajan that the Gauranga Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, sings the holy names with a very sweet voice. And like that he's mentioning whether you are at home or you are in the forest, whether you are in the renounced order or whether you are a grasta, always, whether you are distressed, whether you are at the time of death or you are in life, always sing the holy names. So here, seeing that he had actually gotten the glimpse of the Madhurya Ras, he actually starts in that mood of the gopis, of the Gopi Geet, or the song of separation, and starts that Sankirtan with a great humble mood. And not only that, he tells Krishna like a good lawyer. A good lawyer, when he's in court, there are two lawyers. One is on the plaintiff and one is the defendant. Okay, so there are two parties, and both have lawyers, and both have studied law, and both have actually graduated from good law schools, and they have gotten their degrees, and they have got all the law books up to date that have that when they are fighting a case, they present it in front of the judge. So a good lawyer, actually, what he does is, in defense of the, even if the person is a criminal or is the defendant, what he will do is, in favor of his client, he will tell the judge, my dear judge, if you look at the case number 1352891 in December of 15th of year 1998, such and such versus such and such, and this is the particular judge who presided on the bench, and he gave, there was a similar incident and a similar case, and the judge actually decided in favor of the defendant. So I plead that you also, looking at the same circumstances and the same case, studying that, it's called a case study. Looking at that, please, acquit my client, and let him go free. So, and then he presents not only one or two, maybe more than one case, but here in this particular, as if he is presenting the case of the two sons of Kuver, Nala Kuver and Managriva. What were they? They were so sinful. He reminds them that, see, you remember how sinful they were. Even a great personality like Naradji, they did not stop from being shameless, and they did not cover their bodies, and they were intoxicated, and they were still trying to play around with those girls in the water, disrespecting, and how sinful they were. So they were so sinful. So am I so sinful. And they were so sinful. Kuver Atma Jao, Baddha Murtaiva Yadvat. Baddha Murtaiva means by your divine form, you are actually tied. Baddha. Baddha means you are tied to a grinding mortar. But you are so kind, my dear Krishna. The Yadvat, just as Tvaya, by you, Mochita, you delivered them. Although you yourself were tied, you untied them from that curse. So he is reminding Krishna of his quality of his compassion, that look how compassionate you are. Although, considering that even I am sinful, agreed I am sinful, but the sons of Kuvers were also very sinful. And you delivered them, you set them free, you granted their wish, and you actually, although you were tied, you freed them. You are so compassionate. So here he is trying to project to Krishna, reminding him of his own glories of compassion. By making such a statement that Eva Yadvat Tvaya Mochitav, Bhakti Bhajav Kritav, and both of these, they received pure bhakti. Kritav, and you made them. What did you do? Tatha prema bhaktim swakam me prayacha. Similarly, I pray to you, oh Krishna, don't be so ruthless upon me. Please give me that prem bhakti. Because that prem bhakti that he is talking about here is the prem bhakti that these two sons of Kuver, when they were liberated from those trees, they never went back to heaven. They never went back to Swarga. They were promoted to Golok Vrindavan. So that kind of prem bhakti was granted to them, to such sinners. So therefore, I am also such a sinner. Just like Vaishnavas, when they realize that when they are in a very humble mood, which they always are in, pure Vaishnavas, they always think like that. Narottam Das Thakur, for example, the famous bhajan that most of you all know, that is very widely sung in ISKCON. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Doya karo more, toma vina ke dayalu, jagat samsare, patita pavana hetu, tavaya avatara, mosama patita Prabhu, na paive yara. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu. Narottam Das Thakur starts this bhajan by reminding Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Just like here Satyavrat Muni is reminding Krishna about his compassion. He is saying, Narottam Das, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu, that you came here that you, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu, Daya karo more, please have mercy on me. Toma vina ke dayalu jagata samsari. There is nobody as compassionate as you in this entire existence, in this world. Jagata samsari. Patita pavana hetu tava avatar. The reason why you actually came from Golok is that your only goal is to actually uplift the fallen. Patita pavana hetu. To purify the fallen souls. And then he's saying, Mosama, Patita Prabhu, Mosama Patita Prabhu na paide a. There is nobody as fallen as me. So I am number one in the line. I should not be bereft of your mercy. So this is the mood. Similarly, Satyavrat Muni is reminding Krishna that although you were tied to the grinding motor, you granted them liberation. And not only liberation, you gave them Bhakti bhajav prema bhakti swakam, your own prema bhakti in Golok Vrindavan. So similarly, swakam me prayacha, please, I beg you, please grant me that. Now mokshe griho me asti damodareha. Please, oh dear Krishna, I do not yearn for any other kind of liberation, but please grant me this loving devotional service, just as I saw that you had, granted the sons of Kuber, who are extremely sinful by nature and the way that they behave, to a Mahabhagavat like Naradji. Perhaps you can also consider me because you are very compassionate. So that is why he prays to them. So when he prays like that, it is said that Damodar Bhakti Baddham, another meaning is revealed here. And Sri Krishna actually gives them liberation. Why does he do that? So here another meaning of Damodar Bhakti Baddham is revealed by our Goswamis. They say that actually the sons of Kuber, Nala Kuber and Managriva were the sons of who? Kuber. And Kuber was a devotee of who? I'm sure you all know, some of you may be knowing. He was a very, very staunch devotee, very dedicated to Lord Shiva. And because Kuber was the devotee of Lord Shiva, and Lord Shiva is Krishna's Vaishnava Nam Yatha Shambhu, the topmost devotee, therefore Krishna granted that Damodar Bhakti Baddham, the words of Naradji, that you will be liberated by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Nanda Nandan. In the courtyard, you will see the wonderful pastimes of Sri Krishna in Gokul. Those words were kept because Krishna, for such an offense, even the worst of the hells would be the result of offending a Vaishnava like Naradji. Haristane aprade tare harinam, Tomastane aprade nahi paritran. One who commits offense to Hari, then the holy name can neutralize that offense. But Tomastane aprade, when one commits an offense towards a pure Vaishnava, nahi paritran, there is no recourse. And we know the story of Jagai Madai and how they had hit Nityananda Prabhu and how Nityananda Prabhu forgave them. Otherwise, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who had promised not to even pick up a weapon in this particular avatar. In every avatar, he has a weapon. Like Krishna came with the Sudarshan Chakra, Lord Ramachandra came with the bows and arrows, and Parshuram came with the axe. And like that, every avatar, Krishna has his paraphernalia, has his astras, meaning the weapons. Like Narsingadev came with so many weapons. But here, Nityananda Prabhu told Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what are you doing? This is your Prem avatar. You promised that you would never, carry any weapon. But Mahaprabhu was so upset because Jagai and Madai had hit a liquor pot on Nityananda Prabhu's head, where Nityananda Prabhu was oozing with blood. Such a Mahabhagavat like Nityananda Prabhu, the personality of Godhead, an offense was committed at his lotus feet. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could not stand it. When the news came, he ran to that place and then he called for Sudarshan Chakra, looking at the sky, looking at Vaikuntha. Where are you, Sudarshan Chakra? I beckon you right now. Cut off their heads. And Sudarshan Chakra came flying from the spiritual sky and was about to cut their heads when Nityananda Prabhu pleaded. And then Mahaprabhu said that if you forgive them, then only the Sudarshan Chakra will stop, which is something similar to the pastimes of Durvasa Muni and Amrish Raja, King Amrisha, something very similar. So when the Vaishnava forgave, then the Sudarshan Chakra will stop. Even it is beyond my control. So that is what Krishna says, or Narayan says, or Mahaprabhu says, that once, an offense to a pure Vaishnava is committed, then it is even beyond me. I cannot even forgive it. It is just up to between the Vaishnava and so like this. So the point being that because of the relationship of Lord Shiva to Krishna being a pure Vaishnava, and because of his devotee's devotee is my devotee. So this is what also there's a verse in the Bhagavatam that mentions that aham bhakta paradhina. I am dependent on my devotee. And one who is the devotee of my devotee is my real devotee. And one who claims to me my direct devotee is not really my devotee. So that compassion, Damodar Bhakti Baddham, that Bhakti Baddham means Krishna was tied by the words of Naradji. Although they could have gone into hell for eternity, Naradji said, no, let them, take birth in Gokul, in the house of Nanda Maharaj. Let them see the pastimes of Sri Krishna, which are the most impossible for yogis and so many different types of devotees in the Aishwarya mood. And then they will say, Krishna granted that wish. But this is a very nice, important philosophy, that whenever a pure devotee says something, Krishna indeed will grant that wish. Why? Because Shadanga Sharanagati Hoi Bejar, Tar Prarthana Sune, Rajendra Kumar. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says in one of his brethren, one who is fully surrendered to Sri Krishna with all the 6 limbs of Dainya Atma Nivedana, Goptrite Varna, Avasya Rakshive Krishna, Vishwasa Palana, Bhakti Anukula Karya, Karaju Svikar, Bhakti Ko Pratikula Bhav, Varjan Angikar, all the 6, humility, one who is completely dependent on Krishna for everything, that he is my provider, one who is always surrendered in that mood that Krishna will always protect me no matter what. And one always will think that Krishna is always going to, whatever is conducive to devotional service, one must accept. And whatever is not conducive to devotional service, one must reject. And above all, humility. So all these 6 principles of Sharanagati or surrender, if there is one is got, all of them, or pure devotee is all of them. Therefore, Tar Prarthana, that prayer of that Vaishnava, Sune Brajendra Kumar. Brajendra Kumar must listen. The son of Nanda Maharaj must listen to his prayer. And therefore, Naradji's wish is what is called Damodar Bhakti Baddham. That Damodar or Krishna is tied because even when a pure devotee, like Srila Prabhupada mentions that please chant minimum 16 good rounds and follow the 4 regulative principles. No meat eating, no intoxication, no illicit sex, and no gambling. And then when you do that, you will go back home, back to Godhead in this very lifetime. So we have to understand that Srila Prabhupada's words are like something that Krishna cannot refuse when he says that. Although in the Gaudiya Math, the principle is of minimum 64 rounds every day chanting. Minimum 6 hours of chanting the holy names. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, the Gurudev of Srila Prabhupada, these were the rules of Gaudiya Math. He has said in his Updeshavali, in his instructions, that those who do not chant 1 lakh names or 64 rounds every day of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Krishna will not even take a look at the offerings that you make him. But when Srila Prabhupada came, according to time, place, and circumstances, he changed the rules a little bit so that the devotees could adapt to it, because they were all new. They were hippies, the Western world. For them to sit in meditation and chant the holy names for 6 to 8 hours a day would be practically impossible. So Prabhupada said, you do this and you will go home back to God. So Krishna will listen, although certain things Prabhupada changed according to time, place, and circumstance. So that is the meaning of Damodar Bhakti Baddham. That Damodar, Sri Krishna, becomes bound by the words of the devotees like Naradji. So therefore, he says, Tatha prema bhaktim swakam me prayacha na mokshi griham Damodarya. And like this, then the 2 sons of Kuber, they actually go home back to Golok. They go back to Golok Vrindavan. They are liberated. Now, seeing this, what happens? Coming back to the Damodar Lila itself, after hearing the tumultuous sound of the trees falling, Nanda Maharaj and the Gopas were actually not too far. They were at Brahman Ghat, taking a bath. there. And when they heard the sound of the tumultuous trees, all the Vrajvasis in the Gokul, all the Gokulvasis, they went to Nanda Bhavan hearing the sound. It was deafening. Such huge trees fell down, and Nanda Maharaj came forward. And then he saw his little son lying in between those two trees, still tied to a grinding motor. And he was extremely upset. He was in shock. All the Matajis or the gopis that were in the kitchen, they came out after they heard the tumultuous sound. And they saw Mother Yashoda, when they saw her little darling baby between those trees, thinking that he would have been just crushed had he been an inch here or there, she simply fainted. And many of the gopis fainted seeing that. And immediately Nanda Baba, he went there, and then he untied Krishna immediately without any extra effort. Like it took a lot of effort by the Gopas and a lot of effort by Balram to untie Sri Krishna, but they were unsuccessful because the knot was tied in Vatsalya Ras. And because Nanda Baba is in Vatsalya Ras, that knot was immediately tied. The knot that was tied by Yashodama was immediately untied, and immediately he picks up Sri Krishna, and Krishna starts, he cries, Baba, and tears roll down. Jiva Goswami explains this so nicely. It is like you can see this happening in Gokul. So I will pause on this katha a little bit and then go into the 8th verse right now, and then I will end this with the final touch of the katha where I left off, where Nanda Maharaj unties the knot and picks up baby Krishna in his arms. Now we come to the last verse. In the last verse, he is still pleading. He has not gotten back his spurti. He has pleaded like a good lawyer that, indeed, even I am fallen and I am very sinful. But even to the sinful persons like Nalagriva and Managriva, you gave them Golok Vrindavan and you gave them your prem. Tatha prema bhakti swakamne prayacha. So please grant me that benediction as well. And then in the 8th verse, with great humility, is offering. Now he's becoming very intense. Not only is he praying to Sri Krishna, his prayers to get back into that pure devotional mood, he's praying, Namaste tu damne, Nama te astu, te damne, Surat, Dipti dhamne, Tvadiya udarayatha vishwasya dhamne, Namo radhikaya, Tvadiya priyaya, Namo ananta lilaya, Devaya tubhyam. Beautiful verse, which is the zenith of his prayers of Damodar Ashtakam. He is saying, I offer Namaste to Damne, Astu Damne, I offer my obeisances to that rope that has actually tied you, O Damodar. Again, if you remember the meaning, Dam means rope, or Damne, in this case, it is grammatical in Sanskrit. Namaste, I offer my obeisances. And Udar means the stomach of Krishna. Therefore, he is known as Damodar, because he was tied. So, Namaste to Damne. I offer obeisances to that rope or to that tying personality, because everything is a Vaishnava. Even that rope, or even if it is and as I mentioned, one of the names of Damodar is not only because of the Vatsalya pastimes with Mother Yashoda, but Krishna is known as Damodar also because even the gopis in the amorous love or in the Madhurya Rasa, when Krishna, to punish Krishna when he was late, come in the Nikunja, and Radharani was in Man, she was crying, and the gopis and the manjaris, they are very upset. So they sometimes, when Krishna came, Radharani would say that, I don't want to see that Kal Kalut Sham Sundar. He's a liar, just like he is the color. He is black in his heart also. He's black from inside and outside. And such words Krishna would relish so much, more than the verses, the top verses or the Uttam Shlok of the Vedas. Krishna would cherish those such gali of the Vrajvasis and of the gopis especially. So, like this, they would tie Krishna to a tamal tree with their upper cloth or their upper garland, not garland, their upper garment or their veil. They would make a knot and tie him. So therefore, he is also known as Damodar. So here he is offering obeisances to the Vatsalya Ras and the Madhurya Ras, the rope or the cloth that ties Krishna's stomach. And namaste to damne, sfurat, dipti damne. This rope or this cloth that is tying Krishna's belly is so splendorous. How fortunate. Just like the fortune in the beginning, he's mentioned Lasata Kundalam, Gokule Brajamana. The earrings are so fortunate that they are touching and kissing the cheeks of Sri Krishna as he's moving around in Gokul with his playful tricks and his gait. Like this, he is also offering the rope or the upper garment of the gopis that has tied Damodar with, because it is splendorous. It is so fortunate. Dipti Dham, it is so full of effulgence. Beautiful words have been used here. Dipti Dhamne. Dipti means light, effulgence. Dhamne means it is the abode of spiritual effulgence. The abode of spiritual effulgence. Sri Krishna is actually the abode of spirit because everything emanates from him. Shri Akantah Kantah Parama Purusha Kalpataravo Dhruva Bhumi Chintamani Ganamai Toyam Amrutam Katha Ganam Natyam Gamana Picha Vamshi Priya Sakhi Chidananda Jyoti Paramapi Tada Swadhyamapi Cha Sayatra Shirabdi Surabhi Vyascha Sumahan Nimeshardhakyova va Vrajate hi nayatrapi samayaha Bhaje Shweta Deepam Tamaham iha Golokamitiyam Vidantaste Santah Shiti Virala Charakatiya. This is a very long verse of Brahma Samhita that actually encapsulates the beauty of Golok Vrindavan. I like to personally, in a joking way, I dub it our national anthem. Because the national anthem sings the glories of the land or the country. And we all, actually, because we are followers of His Divine Srila Prabhupada and the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, indeed, that land is ours, Golok Vrindavan. And that is the wonderful verse number 56 of the Brahma Samhita, where Bhaje Shweta Deepa. Shwet means extremely effulgent, white. That is Golok Vrindavan. And because Krishna is so full of effulgence, and he is full of effulgence, why? If we analyze that, Dipti Dhamne, because the love, he is the recipient and he is the source of love. He is the recipient of the love of the Vrajvasis that is unparalleled. And therefore, even that rope that is being tied in anger or in upset or even for punishing, that rope itself or that cloth or the upper garment is full of love. It is concentrated love of the gopis, of Mother Yashoda, that has been able to control Sri Krishna. Otherwise, how is it possible to control the Supreme Personality of Godhead? How can somebody, how can one control Sri Krishna? So because he is Bhakta Vasya. Therefore, this rope is so fortunate. It is splendorous. Dipti Dhamne. Dipti Dhamne, the abode of pure effulgence, of pure love, of pure bhakti. And therefore, when he's saying that you are Tvadiya Udarayatha Vishwasya Dhamne. Furthermore, Atha, it is the source of all the universes, of all the creation. Because we know that, as the expansion of 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 Sri Krishna is Mahavishnu, and Mahavishnu's expansion is Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, and from his navel sprouts that lotus from which the first created being, Lord Brahma, appears. And then the entire creation is orchestrated under the guidance of Sri Krishna, when Krishna actually initiates Lord Brahma into the Brahma Gayatri and gives him knowledge about how to create the material worlds, and also gives him knowledge about the spiritual world, Golok Vrindavan. So, therefore, he's saying, although this is the source, your belly or your belly button is the source of the entire material creation, and you have been able to simply been tied by your mother Yashoda and tied by the gopis because of their splendorous love for you, Vishwasya Dhamne. And then further, this is the pinnacle of the mood of Satyavrat Muni. He has already pleaded to Krishna. Now he's pleading to his consort Radharani. He's saying, Namo Radhikaya Tvadiya Priyaya Namo Ananta Lilaya Devaya. I offer my obeisances to you, O Radhika. because you are the one that Krishna is sustaining his life because of you. You are the prana of Krishna. So you have actually given me, I have got a little glimpse of your Madhurya Rasa and all your associates, Radharani, the gopis, the manjaris, etc. Please look upon me. I offer you my obeisances. Namo Radhikaya Tvadiya Priyaya. This word Tvadiya is very important. Here the meaning of the word Tvadiya means she is your own Sri Krishna. Tvadiya Priyaya. Radharani is Tvadiya. Tvadiya is used for very intimate associates of Krishna. They are known as Twadiyas. It's a very, very, very amazing word. Even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has used a similar word in the second verse of the Ashtakam. Namna Makari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis. Nija, his own potency he has invested in the holy names Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. That Nija Shakti means all the internal potencies or the associates, especially in Vraj. And especially those who are in the Gaudiya Sampradaya, it means that mood of the gopis. So when we chant that holy name and when we are pure enough to come to that stage, then that will give us the Madhurya Prem or the Krishna Prem. That is the goal, or the from Sambandha to Abhidya to the Prayojan, which is the final goal of actually obtaining the entrance into the Madhurya Rasa, or rather into the pinnacle of the Madhurya Rasa, which is the Ras Lila, which here he is mentioning Satyavrat Muni, that Ramo Radhika Tvadiya Priyaya, she is most beloved, most dear to you, Radharani. So like this pleasing Radharani, Namo Ananta Leelaya. And now he is actually offering obeisances to that Ananta Leela. Here that Ananta Leela is, now he has been blessed by Radharani and he is getting back his Spurti. And when his Spurti comes back, when his spiritual vision comes back, he is already entered into the Madhurya Ras pastimes of the Ras Leela. He actually gets to become a part of that Ananta Leela, because this Ras Leela and the other Madhurya Ras Leelas. Ananta Leelaya. Our Acharya explains the word Lila. Wonderful meaning. I had never known that until I had come across it many years ago. Li means to accept and La means to embrace. So here Sri Krishna is embracing all the gopis in Madhurya Rasa, including the most important gopi of all, the Raseshwari, Praneshwari, Radharani. So when he's offering his obeisances to all those Leelas that he's seeing now, that he has got the graduation from Vatsalya Ras into the Madhurya Ras, Devaya Tubhya, to the divine lordships, Radha Krishna, to your divine lordship, thank you so much. A sense of gratitude is being expressed here unto you, O Damodar, O Krishna. This is the essence of the 8th verse of the Damodar Ashtakam, that how due to his transcendental greed he has obtained his prayojan, or the ultimate goal which he had desired. And obviously he was put through a lot of tests. He was put through a lot of anxiety because of him not being able to see what he was even able to see before. The Idam Deva Purnatham Gopala Balam, the feature or the pastimes of the Vatsalya Ras of Bal Gopal, of the little Krishna. And all that being lost, he had to work so much through Sankirtan, through the mercy of the gopis, through the mercy of the special gopi, Radharani. So obviously Krishna could not refuse that when Radharani gave that mercy. Therefore, Namo Radhikaya Tvadiya. When the word Tvadiya came, Krishna's heart melted. This is how we should be praying. Sometimes when we pray, Oh Krishna, or we say other names, or when we say, you are the dearmost of Radharani, oh my dear Krishna, then Krishna's eyes widen. Jagannath's eyes widen more and more. Jagannatha Swami, Nayana Pathagami Bhavatumi. His glance, his merciful glance will become even more intense when the devotee prays in such a mood. Because that's what Krishna is always hankering for. Hankering for the loving pastimes that he had actually played or sported with the gopis or in loving pastimes that had occurred. And this is what that is Krishna's pran. When he hears that, Tava Katha Amritam Tapta Jivanam, that Tava Katha Amrit also means that your own pastimes are Amrit to you, O Krishna. This time I could not get a chance to go much more deeper into the Gopi Geet. Each and every verse of the Gopi Geet is amazing. Verse number 9, which we had started in the Gopi Geet the first day when we did the Katha on Gopi. I started with verse number 9 because it is sandwiched between the best of the all amongst the 18 verses of the Gopi Geet. So this Tava Katha Amrit means it has a double meaning. It's your, not only that, oh Krishna, your pastimes are sweetness to the suffering soul, but your pastimes are sweetness to your own ears too, because that involves just not you, it involves the sweetness of all those devotees that shower you. Sarvatma Snapannam Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. Those devotees, the general meaning that we hear in the Ashtakam, that when they chant the holy names, the devotees, they are bathed in an ecstasy. Snapannam means to bathe. So we are bathed in, we get a bath of ecstasy. But another meaning of Sarvatma Snapannam means, Sarva Atma means the super soul Sri Krishna or Nanda Nandan. He is, and the Sarva Atma also means that he is the heart and soul of all the Vrajvasis. Therefore he is Sarva Atma. Snapannam means those Vrajvasis with their love, they bathe Krishna with their love. Just like on Janmashtami or Gaur Purnima or on special occasions, we do Abhishek of the Lord, right? With the different ingredients like milk, ghee, sugar syrup, honey, etc. We do Abhishekam. So Sarva Atma Snapannam, we do Abhishek. The Vrajvasis do Abhishek with their love to Sri Nanda Nandan. Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. Therefore, this Sri Krishna Sankirtan, Samyak Kirtan iti Sankirtan. This Sankirtan, full Sankirtan means us Gaudiya Vaishnavas, it means Radha and Krishna. Especially Radha Krishna with the Tvadiya. Tvadiya means their own, including the Manjaris, including the Gopis. So the word Hara in Hare Krishna encompasses all. When we utter the word Hare, that means we are addressing not only Srila Prabhupada, we are addressing all the different Gaudiya Acharyas who are none other than the intimate servitors of Radharani as Manjaris or Gopis. And Radharani, because she is the topmost energy of Sri Krishna. So these are so many different details. So Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. That entails, from the highest angle that Mahaprabhu has given, it entails Madhuri Ras is present. Srimad Bhagavatam is Hare Krishna personified, Mahamantra personified. We went into that when we explained the first verse, which I think we did in 3 sessions, that how Hare Krishna Mahamantra is Srimad Bhagavatam itself. So similarly, because Satyavrat Muni followed in the footsteps of the gopis, in the 6th verse, Namo Deva Damodar Ananta Vishnu Prasiddha Prabho Dukkha Jalabdi Magnam Kripa Drishti Vishyati Dinam Batanu Griyana Shamamagyam Idi Aksadrishya, that Sankirtan made him Param Vijayate, made him glorious, made him victorious, because he was able to attain the grace of Radharani and the Tvadiya, the intimate associates of Sri Krishna and Radharani, and therefore he was allowed entrance into the Madhuri Ras. So thank you very much. Now I've completed the Damodar Ashtakam. Now just a few more minutes on completing the Dambandhan Lila of Jiva Goswami. So when Nanda Maharaj picks up the little baby Krishna, and now Krishna, seeing that the father is here, he starts even crying even more. and Nanda Baba is trying to pacify the 2.5-year-old baby Krishna, baby Damodar. And Nanda Baba said, who did this to you? Who did this to you? And like that, Damodar, the little baby, crying incessantly, is pointing towards Mother Yashoda, who is actually already fainted. She is like a statue, right in the courtyard, where she is lying in the arms of one of the gopis. And then, like this, furious. Nanda Baba becomes very furious. Nanda Baba becomes very furious and becoming upset, knowing that his child had probably not eaten. He says, come on, you want to eat something? He says, yeah, Baba. You want to take a bath with me? Okay. So you want to eat something? So he says, yeah, Baba. So go to your ma. I don't want to go to your ma. Okay, you want to go with me? So Baba says, yes, okay, come, I'll take you. And he lifts both Krishna and Balram on both of them, and he takes them first to the Goshala. And in the Goshala, he puts both Krishna and Balram under the udder of a cow, and he's squeezing the udder so that the milk will go directly into Krishna Balram's mouth. I don't know if you all have ever seen that wonderful picture. It is there. So this is coming from the vision of Jiva Goswami. And Nanda Baba feeds them, and then he gives them sakar or misri, the candy sugar. And like that, he actually says that now you want to go and sleep with your mama and your mai. And he says, no, I don't want to. I want to sleep with you, Baba. He points to you. And he says, okay. And like that, Nanda Baba tries to pacify Krishna. Now, Mother Rohini, watching all this, she is full of tears. That here, she is like seeing her Nandarani, Yashoda Mai, like a statue, completely, lost her senses. And here, Krishna doesn't want to even go to her. But perhaps if Krishna goes in arms of Mother Yashoda, she will come back to life. She will regain herself again, her composure. So she comes forward and tells Krishna, Kana, Lala, come on. Your Mai is, look at her, just look at her. And he says, no, I don't want to look at her. Come on, Lala, come on, look at her. She has not even eaten anything. Nothing, not even a morsel. Please, I beg. And she says, where were you when I needed you? You were not even there. And she tied me mercilessly to the grinding motor. You were not even there. I don't even want to talk to you. So like that, he even rejects Mother Rohini. And like this wonderful, and everybody in Braj is crying, looking at this scene, at this Vatsalya Ras that is simply flowing. Even when there is tears flowing, it is as if there's so much ecstasy there. And at that time, Nanda Baba says that you hate your mother so much, then he is silent. You think I should, simply, and he raises his hand as if he's going to beat Mother Yashoda. And then Krishna then grabs his father's hand and he says, no. And then he says that, then go to your mother. What happens if she like she's about to say dies? And before he can complete, and Krishna again breaks into an outbreak. No! And he jumps off from Nanda Baba's hands, and he jumps and he runs towards Mother Yashoda's lap. And there he is, and Mother Yashoda is regained back to her composure. And they both, mother and son, they cry. All the Brajvasis are crying. Nanda Baba is crying. Everybody seeing this scene, and Mother Yashoda simply, from her breast, milk is flowing, the Vatsalya Ras is flowing, and then immediately she covers him, and starts feeding Sri Krishna. And then finally all the gopis get together and they cook a feast because nobody had eaten. And this is the Lila of the Damodar Lila from Jiva Goswami. So then, who was mentioning this? If you all remember, there were these two personalities, Snigdha Kantha and Madhu Kantha. Every morning they came to Nanda Baba's palace, and every evening at sunset, before going to sleep, or at dusk later on, they used to sing the glories of Sri Krishna, the different pastimes. Just like if you all remember, Love and Kush, the sons of the twins of Lord Rama, they used to go with their veena in town to town singing Ramayana that they had heard from Valmiki. So similarly, Snigdha Kantha, Snigdha means softer, Kantha means the vocal cords. So somebody who had very soft, he sang very beautifully. And Madhu Kantha, his brother, he had very, very nice vocal cords like that of sweetness of Madhu, means honey. So these both were singing wonderful different pastimes of Krishna, and they were simply, relishing the elders, Nanda Baba and every day, all of them in their morning and evening. So then suddenly, after they finished mentioning this Damodar Lila to the entire assembly, Nanda Baba looks at them and says, you know what? I think I know everybody in Gokul or in Braj, but these two, Snigdha Kantha and Madhu Kantha, who are they? Who are they? Like, this was in one of the conversations. And then both of them put their heads down as if they were in humility. And then Nanda Baba understood that it is the two sons of Kuber that had got in the position of Snigdha Kantha and Madhu Kantha, and who are narrating constant pastimes of Sri Krishna and giving pleasure to the Vrajvasis. Such is the compassion of a great Vaishnava like Naradji. Given such a compassion, can you imagine that they were so sinful? So similarly, we are also very sinful. We don't know what kind of sins we may have committed even a few days ago, knowingly or unknowingly, or a few years ago, or in the last life, or many lives ago. But if we take the ashray of a Mahabhagavad, when we take the ashray, when we take shelter of a pure devotee, then our situation will be completely nullified. And as Krishna has promised, Aham tam sarva papebhyo mokshashyami ma sucha. I will purge you of all kinds of reactions if you surrender to me. And surrendering to Sri Krishna means surrendering to a pure devotee of Sri Krishna. So here we are, so fortunate that, for 2 months we have been conducting this Damodar Bandhan Lila along with the explanation, the deeper explanations of the Damodar Ashtakam. This is the first time that it has taken me so long because of COVID or whatever. It's a special mercy that, usually otherwise my seminars in Vrindavan, they do not last more than 2 days because of the limitation and the time and the several places that I've done. But this has been an amazing journey through Kartik and the month after that. And I thank all of the listeners who have been patiently coming week after week and giving your association and taking part in this wonderful treatise of the Bandhan Lila and the Damodar Ashtakam. So next year, we will do this again. Hopefully, Krishna willing, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. And when we sing the Damodar Ashtakam, at that time, we should completely be fully drowned in bliss, just like the Krishna is drowning the inhabitants of Gokul in bliss. Like he said, that like Satyavrat Muni says that, Idriksa Lila Vir Ananda Kunde. So let us all drown into this pool of ecstasy, of bliss. When we sing this Damodar Ashtakam, we try to remember all this that we have heard, all this that we have learned from the Goswamis, all this that Srila Prabhupada has taught us about pure devotion. So much is there when we are so fortunate that we are able to hear these things, and hopefully someday we will be able to fully realize it. So thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Satyavrat Muni, all glories to Sri Damodar Ashtakam, all glories to Kanaji, all glories to Damodarji, all glories to Yashodamai, all glories to Gokul Vasis, all glories to Vrajvasis, all glories to the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, all glories to Sanatan Goswami Pad, all glories to Jiva Goswami Pad. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol, Vancha Kalpataro Vischa, Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So at this time, I would like to invite Anup Prabhu for the closing statements and then the question answer session or reflections. Thank you very much. You may unmute the microphones of the devotees, and again, please maintain the protocol one at a time. That way we do not talk over each other, or if there's any kind of background noise, then we should not be disturbed by it. So stay muted until you want to say something. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. What a session, Prabhuji. I am fortunate today that I present here and hear from you. You have nicely explained all the previous 6 verses again, and then 7th and 8th verse. So you have also discussed about the story of sons of Kubera, Manigriba, and Nalagriba, and how Krishna was tied to the grinding mortar, and when he was passing through the two trees, how he delivered the two sons of Kubera from the cars, and those two are Snigdha Kantha and Madhukantha, and they narrate all the pastimes in the Gokul. Um, at the end, I think you summarized everything nicely. So in my view, Satyabrat Muni offers obeisances and glorifies everything associated with the Krishna Bal Krishna during these 8 verses. He glorifies Gokul, the jewelry, the kundal, the necklace of the Krishna, Mother Yashoda, all the pastimes of Krishna, Krishna's cheek, his backless lotus face, his curling hair, his leaves, and the rope that binds his belly, and Krishna's belly, which is the abode of the entire universe. And also he glorifies and offers obeisances to Srimati Radharani, the Supreme Lord. So couple of things, like we know Krishna is the supreme person of Godhead, but how compassionate he is. Like if you call him as Pramukh Nam, then it's a kind of formal call to him.
Gonyana.
Yeah, no, from if we call Pramukh Nam, I think it's a formal call
No,
to him. But if
Gonyana.
yeah, Gonia, yes, Gonia Nam, Bhagavan, Prabhu, that. But if you call him as a Pramukh Nam, like Krishna, Radhe Syam, Hari, he's more compassionate, and he comes more closer to you. So there are many Bhagavans, Devi, Devtas, but Krishna is something like who you can control with your bhakti. He is bhakti Vaschal as well as bhakti Vasya. You can control him. Like one form of Krishna is Jagannath, who comes to the street to show his darshan to the devotees. So how great he is! He is the supreme person of Godhead, but he is so compassionate, and you can really control him if your bhakti is more than his love towards you. So that's great. And I am so fortunate to hear all these things. Thank you very much once again, Prabhuji. And on top of that, few announcement. Friday, December 25th is Moksha Ekadasi, Gita Jayanti, and Christmas Day. So Mukhya Ekadasi is also a very special Ekadasi. On this day, Lord Krishna spoke about Srimad Bhagavad Gita to Arjun on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So on this day, if anyone gives a Bhagavad Gita to anybody who is deserving, he is bestowed profuse blessings by Sri Krishna Bhagwan. I would request everybody to please fast from beans and grains on this day. And the Dwadashi Paran is next day, Saturday, December 26th, from 7:50 a.m. to 10:49 a.m. Also, December 25th is Christmas Day, the appearance of Jesus Christ. According to the Gaudiya Acharyas, like Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Saraswati Thakur, and Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Jesus Christ is a bona fide Acharya who came to teach the fundamentals of Vaishnavism, teaching love of God. He was endowed with special power of Shakti from the Supreme Lord. Um, that is why he is called as a
Shakta Avishakta.
Abesha avatar. So, I would request everybody to observe those days and pray to God uh, for the good of the society and everybody. Wishing you all a Merry Christmas and Happy Gita Jayanti in advance. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining today's session. So we'll now open the mic forum for everybody for question and answer sessions. Let me.
Hare Krishna. Now the microphone is, you can unmute yourself If anybody has any anumodan, now that the Damodar Ashtakam is over, you all can speak your reflections, speak your heart, and if there's any questions or corrections, please feel free to express them.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, one devotee, Thakur Nai's wife, Indira Nai, she is very ill and it's a very delicate stage. If you allow, can we chant some Mahamantra in her name, Indira Nai Thakur?
Yeah. We are in touch with Prabhuji. I know Mataji is not doing so well, and we can definitely do some chanting for her well-being. Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Yes. Tushti Mohan Prabhu's wife,
Yes.
Thakur Nai Prabhu's wife. Yes. So certainly we can do that. Yes, we can. We can chant. So everybody, please raise your hands and chant the Mahamantra for the well-being of Indira Nai Mataji. She's such a wonderful devotee. For the last, since we moved from the US, the last 10 years, we've known that family. And she has been a very wonderful, very kind personality. And I always relished my conversations with her. And it's so sad that her health has deteriorated very fast. And we just pray that whatever is best for her, the Supreme Lord, gives her shelter, and lots of strength to the family. So let's please chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Gudi Mata, Narani Mata, for being inspirational in having everybody chant the holy names for Indira Mataji's well-being. Thank you so much. So anybody else has any reflections or any questions, or anybody wants to mention something, please.
Prabhu,
Yes.
thank you, family, that she reminded me recently that Indira Nai's health is not very well. So she reminded me. Thank you so much for Goel family also.
Oh, no problem. We are in touch with Tushti Mohan Prabhu, and I appreciate you doing this because whenever devotees pray, it always helps. So it's very nice that you mentioned it. And my sincere prayers, I think all of us together, we pray for her eternal well-being. Hare Krishna. So in terms of Damodar Ashtakam, anybody has any?
Hari Bol.
Yes, Mamta Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, it was really nice. 8 weeks with you, almost 9 weeks, we can say. It was really, and we really appreciate.
Thank you so much. All glory.
What's next program after this?
Next Sunday, we will be continuing Srimad Bhagavatam, verse number 3, from the first canto.
From which canto?
First canto.
First canto. Okay, that's good. Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Yes.
So same time, right?
Same time. Yes, indeed.
Thank you very much.
Hari Bol, Prabhu, Pranam Dandavat.
Yes, Mukund Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Yes, nice 2 months, nice Damodar Ashtakama. When finished, we don't know. And very excited and very nice day passed away in a pandemic days. And very thankful to today's Katha. So we learn about the Kuber story. Thank you. Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Go anytime.
Thank you, Mukund Prabhu. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you. Thank you for your association. Thank you for coming.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji.
Dandavat Pranam, Danpran Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, you got muted. Can you unmute yourself?
Hare Krishna.
Yes, now we can hear you. Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you very much for keeping us soaked from head to toe in the divine nectar of Damodar Ashtakam for almost 2 months, Prabhuji. We are very much indebted to you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
We learned the national anthem for the devotees.
Yes.
That
Shri
was the take-home message.
Kantaha Parama Purushaha Kalpataravo Dhruma Bhumi Chintamani Ganamai Sovyam Amrutam Katha Ganam Natyam Gamanacha Vamshi Priya Sakhi Chidananda Jyoti Paramakada Swatyamapi cha Sayatra Shirabdi Surabhibhyascha Sumaha Nimeshardhakyo va Prajatihi Nayatrapi Samayaha Bhaje Shweta Deepam Tamaham Golokam Vidyam
Vedantaste Santa Chiti Rakati Pae. Lovely.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Nanpran Prabhuji. Thank you for attending all the programs. It is an inspiration for me when I see the devotees come on a regular basis. It is not the number of people, it is the quality. You know, we can have thousands of people attending programs, but if it doesn't really, when that interest is not there and it just becomes some kind of a social gathering, then it takes a different connotation. But here we are, you know, for the last 2 months, and most of the people that I see on the screen, you all are on a regular attendance, and that's wonderful. You know, I'm really encouraged. You know, that's what we are supposed to do. That's what Krishna consciousness is, encouraging each other. So thank you. Anybody else would like to express themselves? Please feel free. You know, to just open up your heart. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hari, Dr. Hari Behra Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. You made it everything so lively. You had emotional outburst. Like
Talking to your speaker.
we felt as if we were in Gokul, and in fact, your tears came into your eyes when you were explaining things. It was so live, full of research. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Yeah, we really we released all the with you explained with your very good emotional outburst. That was really fantastic. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, sometimes, you know, when we are deep into... Thank you. Hari Bol. All glories to Sri Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you for your sweet and kind words.
One more thing.
Yes, Mata.
Prabhuji, is it possible that we can start from Srimad Bhagavatam 1:1:1? Please, can we start from first shloka?
I was going to say that.
Mataji, I don't mind doing that, but trust me, if you want, I will send you the recordings. Because, one second, allow me, please. When I started the Srimad Bhagavatam before the Kartik, I started, I think there were 3 sessions, or maybe one of the wonderful devotees can help me. Introduction was for 3 weeks on Srimad Bhagavatam. The first verse was for 3 or 4 weeks. And the second verse was also for 4 weeks. So total, I think we had about 2 or 3 months on just the introduction and the first 2 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. They are very deep in nature, and at the moment, I can send you the recordings of all of those. And actually, I was thinking, and I need maybe a quick, consensus here. What do you think if I make a website for the Bhaktivedanta Bhagavad Group, and then we can upload all the lectures and the programs past that were there, so that if devotees want to revisit some of the important topics, then they can just simply click a button and then they have it at their fingertips. So what do you all think about that?
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
No.
Prabhuji,
Yeah,
Prabhuji.
but this is the live though. It's not.
There are a lot of
Yeah. One second. I think Harihar Prabhu wants to say something.
Yeah,
Mataji, also, one second. Mamta Mataji and then Anup Prabhu. I saw his hand go up. So let's go in order. That way we don't talk over each other. Go ahead, Harihar Prabhu.
I see there are requests from so many devotees. So you can do one thing if it's okay.
No, Prabhuji, we can't hear you.
You can make it, you can put up a gist of it in 2 sessions. Gist of the back, whatever you covered, the gist of everything, like in a very short form in 2 sessions. Then you can continue. How about this?
It is going to be very challenging me to finish 3 months in 2 sessions. I don't know. That is my nature. When I speak Katha, it is just sometimes very. How can I explain this? But trust me, Narayani Mata and Mamta Mata, you join from session 3, and when the inspiration comes, I will try to cover, because I do cover a lot of things that we have spoken according to the context. And Srimad Bhagavatam has many places where certain repetitions will take place, the important points. So I don't think you will miss out much, because we are talking about 3 months for the first 2 verses and the introduction. I have gone into a lot of detail, Mataji. So for me to kind of summarize it in 1 session or 2 sessions will be a very huge challenge. It is my weakness. I must admit. So, but let me see what I can do as we go along. Please forgive me if I cannot, and just join us, because Srimad Bhagavatam, from wherever we join, it is nectar.
No,
Agreed or disagreed? Mamta Mataji.
I know, but I missed it. That's my loss. But it's okay. But if there's so many devotees, if there are new devotees, you can start. That's fine. If we are the only one joining in, that's
See what
okay.
will happen, like, okay, I can start. Okay, done. It's just a hypothetical. Again, 4 devotees will join in the next session, or a couple in the next session. How do we keep moving ahead then? So you have to give me a solution also.
Hari bol. Hari bol, Hari bol, Hari bol. Maybe when they get the recording, they'll have something to do the whole week long, when Mamta Mataji wanted the whole week session. So she can hear the recording all week long. So you can post her the recordings today itself. So she has a whole week.
Yes, it's a good idea, Anju. Thank you. Good suggestion. I will personally send it to your inbox in the WhatsApp.
Thank you.
And Mamta.
Thank you, Anjali.
Huh?
Thank you.
No problem. Okay, Anup Prabhu. Prabhuji, I saw and go up.
Yeah, a few things. One is, it's a good idea to have a website and all the information, definitely. And for everybody, like, we have a YouTube channel, and whatever YouTube link we provided in after every session, if you go to that YouTube, and then you can subscribe to that, it has all the recordings from the day 1. You can watch that. And I also kind of seconded Narayani Mata's suggestion in a sense that it's already 2 months or so that we left Bhagavatam. And the way you did today, like you summarized all the 6 verses and then went to the 7th and 8th. So that kind of, if you can summarize the meaning of the first 2 verses in a half an hour, 1 hour, just the meanings or something, and then
I will try my best. Okay.
Yeah, That
Great.
But then don't feel bad if I just not able to touch verse number 3. Maybe we can just make it a summary revision for one session, which will be the next Sunday.
yeah, it should be a summary of those two verses, and then if anybody
Hare
wants,
Krishna, Hare Krishna.
no. So
One second, Anup Prabhu, one second. Hold that
yeah,
thought.
sure.
Good evening, Mataji. Go ahead.
Krishna Prabhu, you said that you spent 2 to 3 months for verse number 1. Prabhu, we have all the time in the world. Please start again. But we got verse 1, please.
Okay, so let us come to some middle ground. I will try to summarize the first 2 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam in the next session, and if there is time permitting, I will start the next verse. Okay, and I'm also thinking that how are we going to study Srimad Bhagavatam, because there's a lot of detail in Srimad Bhagavatam. Sometimes it can become too tedious or taxing on the mind, and it may not be so rasic in nature. Because so I'll probably try to select some key verses that are very important to our inspiration and our sadhana. So I'll have to maybe reflect on that. Of course, verse number 3 is an important verse, no doubt about that. But of course, Srimad Bhagavatam, every verse is important. But it's almost impossible if we try to fill 18,000 verses, and at this rate, we will need 18,000 lifetimes.
Yeah, but Prabhuji, I think verse number 1 is everything.
That is true. Okay, Baba. Okay, I will summarize it. I'll try
Yeah.
my best. See, what happens is sometimes the moment comes, the words come out. It is not identical the next time, because
No,
there is no such thing as a preparation. It is a spurti when it comes, and sometimes that is why I with one pointed attention I try to speak whatever that comes from within the heart, the inspiration. So I'm hoping that Paramatma has noted your request, Narayani Mataji's request, Mamta Mataji's request, and certainly he will inspire me. Prabhupada ji will inspire me. So let us see what we can do. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. And we have all these YouTube videos for extended versions of these first 2 verses. So anybody who interested, they can go and watch all
Yes,
the
please.
episodes, and you can just summarize in one session that. So that was that.
Prabhu, what do you think about a website?
Yeah, definitely, it's a good.
I just made a website for ISKCON Niagara Falls.
Okay.
So just y'all can go through that, ISKCONNiagaraFalls.com.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Definitely, it's a good idea.
I finished developing that. On a similar line, I can develop something for our own Bhaktivedanta Bhagavad group. There is a place in the main page where it says past events. Don't forget to click on that. And all the lectures that were associated, including this lecture, will go on that, because it was a continuation that we were the first whole month of Kartik. We had combined programs of ISKCON Niagara Falls and Bhaktivedanta Bhagavad group. So they are fine that I post this last session, and you will find all the lectures so far on ISKCONNiagaraFalls.com in terms of the Kartik and especially the Damodar Ashtakam. And this one, today's, will also be posted. But I plan on eventually, when time permits, I will develop a website where we can put all the lectures. So whenever the devotees want, according to the topic, you just click on it and you can actually view it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Hare Krishna.
okay.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I've seen the website of ISKCON Niagara Falls, and that's simply fantastic. And that was designed by our Satchitananda Das Prabhuji. Good.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, beautiful.
So Prabhuji, I have a question. Like in this Damodar Lila, one thing is points out of everything, like Satyavrat Muni rejected the benedictions of Prabhu, and he wants to.
Benedictions, though, not all of them.
Yeah. So benedictions of material nature,
for mukti,
yeah.
for becoming an inhabitant of Vaikuntha, or anything that will take him to Vaikuntha, any kind of bhakti. And that
Yes.
includes bhakti of Prahlad or Dhruv Maharaj or any other devotee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. That's I think one of the important points of this Damodar Lila, how he was attached to the Bal Krishna Rupa.
Attached
But,
to Braj Bhakti in general.
yes. So, but in like spiritual Golok Dham, in the lotus, there are, you said there are petals in which Krishna resides in all forms.
Yes.
So he can be transferred to one of those petals where he resides in this Balkrishna Rupa.
Yes, he can be. But you remember that greed came to him. That greed to enter the Madhurya Ras.
Okay.
I think you missed that part.
Okay.
After the 5th verse, that greed came when he saw Mother Yashoda kissing Krishna. He also got a little glimpse of the gopis, the young gopis kissing Krishna.
Yeah.
So that changed his level or his aspiration. He got into a greed that I would also like to enter into the Madhurya Ras
Okay.
from Vatsalya Ras.
Okay. That's why.
Like, sometimes when we graduate, now I want to do this course. I want to do that course. More and more. I know certain people that I know that I want to get all the degrees under the belt or under the sun. They want one after one after one after one after one. They get more and more degrees so that the resume looks excellent. This is a different example, but so his greed was to be a part of the Madhurya Rasa and enjoy that rasa of the youthful Krishna and just like a youthful gopi.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Understood?
Yes, got it. That's why I didn't aspire to go to that.
And some devotees are allowed in many prakostas. Sometimes they are friends, sometimes they are also in the Madhurya Ras. So Srila Prabhupada is like that. We don't know. So Prabhupada's certain poems that he has written in Bengali, he has mentioned about Krishna being his friend and frolicking and picnicking in the meadows of Vrindavan. So it appears that Prabhupada has a relationship in Sakha. But Prabhupada is also in the Madhurya Rasa, 100%, based on his attraction to the Acharyas and all the Gaudiya Acharyas. So he is definitely a part of their team in the Madhurya Rasa.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Yes. Gopal Prabhu, where are you? I have not heard from you today.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam.
Prabhuji, it's no word to say. Like Damodar Lila, it took like months, but still, like we don't know how the time passed.
I know, that is what it is, when it comes to Hari Katha, and when we get absorbed, like Parikshit Maharaj, 7 days and 7, without food, water, he simply heard from Parikshit Maharaj, the Srimad Bhagavatam, from Sukdev Goswami, Parikshit Maharaj. And not only him, 60,000 rishis, they sat there with one-pointed attention. No more looking at the clock, no more looking at the sun, no more looking at the, simply absorbed. This is what Hari Katha is, Amrit. And when we do it with a sincere heart, the listeners and the speaker, then the result is amazing, which you just mentioned with your own experience. Yes, this is also very special mercy. Yes, Gopal Prabhu, Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Prabhuji, one request. The anthem which you recited, it's really amazing. Like, do you mind to send something so at least we can hear it like whenever we want?
Okay, one day what we will do a seminar on this anthem. How about that? Word to word. We will just like we did the Katha for Damodar Lila. We will do this for I call it the national anthem, okay? This is my personal feelings, and this is what I call it the national anthem. So
it's really so Karnapriya.
Most of the people that have spoken to, they love it.
No, Prabhuji, really, it's so Karnapriya and heart-touching. Like I believe everyone feels the same thing.
Yes. Yes, no problem. So we have so many topics. So in between, here's another suggestion that we can do. We can do verses of Bhagavatam. We can do certain things like you said about our national anthem, the 56th verse of Brahma Samhita. We can also do once in a month Vaishnava bhajans and explain them. So we should make a nice mix. That way we get, a good variety, and then maybe 3 weeks Bhagavatam, 1 week Vaishnava bhajan, and then we can explain on that, which is also very important. So let's do that. Prabhu says, please go ahead with the seminar on national anthem of Vaishnavas, my favorite. Okay, Prabhuji, we will do that. Okay. So let's see how the inspiration comes. Whatever we do, it will be all good. It is all related to pure devotion, pure bhakti. So, thank you. And my special thanks again to my support, Anup Prabhu, Asim Prabhu, and many, many thanks to our Pankit Prabhu. Always very quick and nice in preparing the different slides that I tell him that today I would like to sing this bhajan, and he will immediately make a slide and present it in a very short time. So special thanks for that as well. So anyways, thank you so much. Have a wonderful, blissful week. Happy Mokshada Ekadashi, Gita Jayanti, and Merry Christmas. Stay safe, stay protected under the lotus feet of Sri Krishna and Prabhupada. All glories to Sri Prabhupada. Vanchakalpataro Vishnu Sindhu Bevacha. Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Gopal Prabhu, you want to say something?
Sorry, I have one thing. So, sorry, I missed that. One of my colleague, he passed away due to this pandemic. He worked with me for like few years, and here in Toronto. So and his name is Kausal Gandhi. So